initial training was about 2 years, where we studied the space station systems, the robotic arm, doing spacewalks and various things. And then once I was selected for my mission, I was selected. Families. So we use the satellite networks, and that we have an IP phone that we could call them on, and also once a week they try to schedule us for a video chat with our family, and as I said, that goes through a network of satellites to get all the way back home to my family. Over. Well, you know, the International Space Station has been up here about a quarter of a century, so oftentimes things do break on the station, so we do a lot of maintenance on here, both to correct things that have already broken and also to preemptively take care of things so that they don't break. Over. Actually, it's kind of interesting how quickly you get used to living and working up here. You know, on a daily basis, I don't think about the fact that just behind these thin walls of the module is the vacuum of space, and so it's quite easy to get comfortable living and working up here. So on a daily basis, I don't feel very stressed or anxious, other than just trying to make sure I'm doing a good job with my work. Over. That's a great question, because the International Space Station goes around the Earth about 16 times a day. About every 45 minutes or so, sunset. So that doesn't work well for your circadian rhythm and sleeping. So the station, and they have another astronaut who just returned back home after a mission in space, and it's actually quite difficult on your body when you get back, getting used to gravity again. Your vestibular system that tells you, you know, when you're on a ride or when you're turning or things like that, that gets pretty messed up, and it takes about a week or two for that to return to normal, and then your fluid shifts, you know, the blood and water in your body can shift around in your body differently. So I actually have not cut my hair yet. Others up here have. We actually have a set of clippers, like you would have on the back of it is attached a vacuum. The hair gets sucked into a vacuum, and the other day actually my good friend Laura was cutting her hair, and so I held the vacuum while she was trimming her hair. I like to say you need to be a jack of all trades, so you need to be able to do a little bit of everything. Science is our main mission up here, so you have to have the technical expertise and ability to perform the science experiments. You need to be physically fit, so that things like spacewalks are really physically tiring. And then also, probably the most important thing is you need to be a good team player. We live up here in this fight, if we get mad at each other. So working together with other people is really important. Over. Well, you know, it's actually every now and then when a vehicle comes up, they'll send us some like fruits or something like that. We use food that stays stable, shelf stable for very long periods of time. A lot of get used to voting on the zero gravity just because it's so different, but it's actually quite easy and fun. You know, it takes very little effort. You can just give a slight push and you'll go all the way across the module. But you have to be careful not to push too hard or you can go way too fast. Over. I think that would probably be different depending on who you ask. For me, it's just every day trying to make sure I'm doing the mission, and I have a spacewalk, my first spacewalk ever coming up, and I'd say I'm a little nervous about that and making sure I do everything properly being outside the space station for the first time. Over. Well, NASA didn't ask me if I wanted to bring a pet. That's a good question, but there have been animals in space throughout time. There have been monkeys in space. There have been dogs in space. So I think at some point you could. Right now, it would probably depend what animal it is, and you might have to make some adjustments to the space station to accommodate. Over. You know, the spacesuit is actually quite difficult to work in. Enjoy the rest of your day. Over.